All right, everybody, it's your boy Jay coming back for another stream, and we're now on to week 11. We did the power rankings yesterday, and tonight we're getting into the predictions. We also got some news for you guys, some injury updates for Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers, as far as whether or not he's supposed to come back sooner rather than later. I still think it's propaganda, but hey, I'm just me. After that, we'll go ahead and get to the predictions. So make sure that you guys hit that like, that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. And let's get right into it. Here we go. All right, so Deshaun Watson's going to need shoulder surgery. He'll be out for the rest of the season. And let's go ahead and get into this one real quick.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple months, and biggest thing is mobility and just the range of motion, and then the strength and stuff will work out. But I'm going to be working with some great doctors and great staff that's dealt with this process before, with a lot of professional baseball guys, and make sure that I come back even better than before.
So and here's my thing, right? I think everyone who is a Cleveland fan or anyone that's part of the Cleveland Browns organization has definitely been waiting to see what they paid $230 million guaranteed for. And right now, I want to say that we've only had a sampling of what Deshaun can do. If we look at the stats, right? If we go right to the stats, you guys know I'm a stats man. Let's get into the last two seasons. Obviously, as you see here, back in 22, he played for 6 games. He had 99 completions, 170 attempts, 58.2% for the completions, 1,102 yards, averaged 6.5, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 20 sacks. And then obviously coming back this year, everyone thought that he was going to, come out and be great and, go out there and just really take over this franchise. Well, he played 6 games this year, 105 completions, 171 attempts, 61% of completion percentage, which he increased on last year. 1,115 yards, which he increased on last year as well. Still had the same average of 6.5, but he had 1 less interception and the same amount of touchdowns. So, it's one of those things where it looks like it's going to be better on the board and he's going to go out there and win. But he's got to get surgery. So he'll be out. So what happens to this Browns franchise now with him being out for the season? Well, if we look at the schedule, obviously they took the win against the Bengals, lost to the Steelers, won against the Titans, lost to the Ravens, won against the 49ers, won against the Colts, lost to the Seahawks, won against the Cardinals, and then won against Baltimore. So, yeah, I mean, they were basically winning without Watson at some point. So can it be done without him now? Sure, because guess what? They're bringing in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And if you were rocking with me in the preseason games when we were streaming the Browns games, I did say that I actually did like Dorian. I liked his footwork. I like his ability to read the field and the defense. And his arm was decent. So before anyone tries to write the man off, that's who they will be going with against the Steelers on Sunday. Now, if we get into Dorian's stats, get into Mr. Dorian's stats. Let me pull this up here. For the preseason, now everyone's going to say, well, Jay, it was preseason. It doesn't really matter. I really do think preseason matters because it's going to showcase and highlight some people's attributes and what they can do in the field. But the real problem is now is we're in the middle of the season. And this is where things get a little tricky as far as, who steps it up and who doesn't. But with that said, if we just look at a couple of things here, and I'm going to point out one really crazy thing. The Cleveland Browns actually had Joshua Dobbs, as you can see there on the roster in preseason. Then let him go. And now the Vikings have him. So that's kind of interesting how things work out. But I can kind of figure out why they got rid of Dobbs and kept Dorian on board. So he was 9 of 10. He had 102 yards. His average was 10.2. He had 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, 0 sacks. Joshua Dobbs he was 8 for 16, 77 yards. He only averaged 4.8 and had 1 interception, no touchdown, and he had a sack. So I get it. But then if you go back and look at the Eagles game, Dorian Thompson-Robinson played there as well. He was 13 of 25. He had 164 yards. He had 6.6 on the average. No touchdowns, no interceptions, had one sack. But the game was tied. It was a tied game. So, like I said, when we were going through the preseason games and we seen what Dorian did as far as the speed and things like that, I think this will be a good matchup for the Browns. Their defense has been upstanding, but that's not to say that the Steelers can't do it as well because they have a great defense. So the real question is Dorian ready? That's it. That's going to be your main question. Is Dorian going to be ready getting into this game for the Browns against the Steelers? And I think he will be. I think he will be. PJ Walker, as much as he's done, I think he could be still the person to go out there and make it happen. But putting Dorian in for right now may make sense against the Steelers. And then the Broncos and the Rams. You get into Jacksonville, Bears, Texans, Jets, Bengals. If you have a winning record and you're looking at potentially being in the playoffs, you're really, really going to have to put a solid game plan in place for these Browns leading into the last weeks of the season. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Deshaun Watson's out. Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be in. And we'll see what happens. All right, next up, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to these predictions, we have updated news on Mr. on Mr. Aaron Rodgers, And I feel like every week we're getting to these conversations as far as whether or not he's going to come back and whether or not he's going to play. So my big thing was I always said, all right, well, if they're mentioning this so fast and if they keep talking about it every week, I really think they're still trying to rally the troops and basically make sure that, there's still a good morale in the locker room and, basically wanting the defense to still go out there and protect Zach Wilson to make them think that, hey, if we give this guy a chance, if we give this guy a shot, he can go out there, win a couple games, and then hopefully if we can make it to a wild card, then, bring back in Aaron Rodgers. But let's go ahead and get into this one and see what he has to say.
That's an accurate.
No, there's no set date. I mean, it could change. If I have a great week, this week and next week, that could be accelerated. If we are not in it in 3 or 4 weeks, that could take it a different way. But I expect us to be in it, and I expect to come back. So that's about all I can tell you at this point. There's not a lot of people that have the unique situation that I was in. I got hurt in the first drive of the season. I don't want to retire. I want to come back. I got the best doctor in the country. My full.
So let's stop there. I mean, he's absolutely right. He's got the money. He's got the best doctors in the country. Right, probably the best meal plan, best medication, all that kind of stuff. So when we look at that kind of situation opposed to a regular, Joe who's trying to recover from the same kind of injury, they're not going to recover as fast, especially at that age. So when you got some money and you got the best doctors in the world, you can potentially, rehab and come back faster than normal. But to me, I think it's too fast. And with his age, it could be possible that he does go back out there and the same thing happens, and even worse. Who knows? But let's continue on.
Time job is rehab. And my mindset from the morning after the surgery, or the injury, before I even got surgery, was I'm going to try and do something that nobody's done before. So I poured my entire energy and research into this. And, I mean, I wasn't even a question whether or not I was going to use Neo. It was, all right, what are the best rehab modalities? Where should I rehab? What can I do at home? What can I add to it? And who's done anything in this realm before? So I talked with a number of people who'd torn their Achilles. I listened to what they liked, what worked. The majority of those people, a lot of them athletes, awesome people, and I'm so thankful for the time. They were on different timetables, though. They were thinking, listen, we're going to get this thing back and get back to competition, but not in a rush. And I feel like I want to get back, so I'm more rushed because my.
And, I get it, right? All jokes aside, no matter how you feel about Aaron Rodgers, whether you hate him or whether you like him, as an athlete, you want to get out there and you want to play your game, right? You want to go out there and you want to get that trophy. You want to get the accolades. You want, the respect, the admiration that comes with the game. And someone like Aaron Rodgers definitely wants to have that because obviously he's seen the situation that happened with Tom Brady and how Tom Brady went out probably at the lowest that you possibly could. Even though he's the GOAT, it probably was really, really bad leaving out that way. So I don't think, Aaron Rodgers wants to have the same kind of situation. He obviously wants to come back. He has a team to where he feels that he can actually utilize and make something happen with the Jets because the defense is strong, right? He's got some of his old veteran teammates on there, plus some new guys he's been working with. So, yeah, I definitely think that it would make sense for him to come back. Is it too soon? Yeah, I definitely think it's too soon. But, hey, if he's got all this money and the best doctors in the world and it's working for him, then we'll see. We'll see. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Rodgers saying that, he may come back sooner rather than later. And we'll have to see what happens. All right, so before we get into these predictions, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and check out some of these comments. Ryan Devlin in the house. What up, man? What's going on with you? Sassy. What's up, Sassy? He says, poor brownies. Yeah, it's tough. Greg says, what's the easy money bet this week? We're going to get into that soon, my friend. MC, what up? September Girl in the house. Jacob says, yo, Jay, I'm going to the Pittsburgh game Sunday. It's going to be a blowout. I don't think so, my friend. I don't think so. Gregory says, Phil's coming off injured, throwing thumb if that isn't 100%. I think the Lions will cover easily. Rodgers is just collecting checks. Shout out to you, Gregory. Yeah, if you're injured and you made, that's what the contracts are for. Good afternoon as well, James. Ed Dan says, I hope I didn't miss your take on the Buffalo offensive coordinator. You did not. I did make a whole separate live for that if you did want to watch it. It's about 18 minutes long. You could just go search it on the channel. But I did talk about Ken Dorsey for about 18 minutes as well as the Bills offense. And the defense, the whole thing. But yeah, it's all there. Got the best team just writing checks. Why Rush coming back? Like I said, it's the pride thing. It's definitely got to be the pride thing. What does Rodgers have left to prove? What will he accomplish coming back? Like I said, it boils down to the pride thing, right? If you know that you have a particular skill set and you want to go out there and highlight it and you want to go get another Lombardi, you want to get another Super Bowl ring, you want to, because sometimes it's not about the money. These guys already have money. Right? This is the same reason why Tom Brady decided to go out there for his last season because, it didn't matter. He already had the money. He even had the Fox News thing already lined up for $300 million. So when we talk about, the big contracts and all that kind of stuff, I don't think it really boils down to the money, all the time. But for some of these guys who've been doing this for a while that have hundreds of millions of dollars, it comes down to the pride and feeling like they can go out there and do it too. And, I've got one more in me, and that's how it goes. Robert says, not only trying to come back too soon, but maybe costly. What are you coming back to a possible 4-8? Maybe 9 to 10 New York Jets. Let's face it, Jets better win now if they want to activate Rodgers, of course. Shout out to Shadow. Says, I did a double Nostradamus on that just before his play. I said in comment in the chat, what if he gets hurt and he's out for the season and Wilson wasn't ready, and he wasn't and may still not be. Yeah, so, the big problem that I have with Wilson is this. He's been saved week in and week out by this strong defense. Because keep in mind, if the Jets didn't have the strong defense that they do, Zach Wilson is toast. They would be getting blown out left and right. So essentially, he's been getting saved. And it's not a bad thing, right? But at the same time, it's Rodgers basically put this New York franchise in such a disarray because of how much they paid him. But they've crippled them and handicapped the team because they can't go out and seek another quarterback that's actually going to be able to fill his spot until he can come back. So, yeah, if the Jets do actually make a potential wild card appearance, which it'd be a long shot if they do, then you have Zach Wilson who's going to try to get there while, in fact, waiting for Aaron Rodgers, and that's what we may see potentially based on what we just heard. I don't know. I don't get it. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with the Jets, but that's where we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know you guys have been waiting for it all day. we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. You guys know how we do. Week 11 predictions. Week 11 predictions. I did great last week. I called 4 upsets, 3 happened. Yeah, I called 4 upsets, 3 happened. The Lions escaped, literally escaped, because 3-point game, 41-38 against the Chargers. Yeah, that was crazy. So let's go ahead and get into Week 11, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start off with these Bengals and these Ravens. I will be streaming this tomorrow, so make sure you guys lock it in. Yes, it's going to be crazy, but I'm a firm believer right now the game between the Texans and the Bengals was the kind of game that we needed to see last week. I called it. I did say that Stroud would basically go out there and ball out. He did. And I'm not going to say that, the Bengals didn't play a solid game, because they did as well. They just got outplayed. Now, the real question is in this game is, are the Ravens going to run into the same kind of situation that they ran into with the Browns, where Lamar Jackson finds a way to basically give it away by throwing an interception, or the fumbles, or the issues that happens? The Ravens are a solid team. They got good defense, but I feel like we're getting into that point where we're seeing the issues, and we're seeing the problems, and we're seeing things being highlighted, and whether or not Lamar Jackson can actually throw the ball more than running. We appreciate his running, and they actually do have a great running concept with Gus Edwards and the team there, but I definitely think that Lamar Jackson is going to have to do more on his feet, because relying on his arm shows us exactly what we seen last week with the Browns. And you don't want to run into that issue with the Bengals, because guess what? They're in desperation mode, just as anyone else right now in the AFC North. But with that said, I do think that the Ravens will have enough firepower to go ahead and get this job done. And I'm going to go ahead and take them by 7 at home. All right. Next up after that, it's going to be Pittsburgh versus the Browns. Steelers versus the Browns. We get into the Steelers defense, and as far as Kenny Pickett and whether or not he's actually being great on the field, no. I don't like what Kenny's doing, because once again, he's doing just enough. And the big problem with that is this. When you understand as far as how much a defense can save you, just like what the Jets are doing with Zach Wilson, and I'm not saying that Zach Wilson is Kenny Pickett or Kenny Pickett is Zach Wilson, but he does have his issues. He does have his problems, and we haven't seen him really go out there and have that dominant victory that the Steelers could have. You got a strong defense. When is the offense going to show up? These are the games that the offense are going to have to show up, because the defense isn't going to do enough. So I do think this will be a great defensive battle. We're going to see what Dorian can do on the field in his first true start for this season. It's going to be a tough one against the Steelers, but I will be taking the Browns at home by 3. Next up is going to be the Bears and the Lions. Lions will be at home. As far as Justin Fields, he's supposed to be back. Run into these kind of situations where, you really think that this individual is going to be able to come back and bounce back, even though, they're coming back from the injury. But these Lions, they're doing a hell of a job. Defensively, offensively. Although I don't like how many points they allowed for the Chargers to put up. But the Chargers do have a very explosive offense, and it's hard to stop them. The Chargers have been putting up points against almost everybody. So, with that said, I do think the Lions will take this one at home, though, by 14 against the Bears. Next after that, it's going to be the Chargers and the Packers. Chargers and the Packers. I do think this will be a good one. I am going to take the Chargers here, though. I'll go Chargers by 7 there against the Packers. After that, it's going to be Raiders and Miami. Miami should take this at home by at least 14. Next after that, it's going to be the Giants and the Commanders. I think this will be a good one, but I don't really, feel too great about Mr. DeVito right now, because, he's a rookie, undrafted rookie just coming in and trying to figure out some kind of chemistry. So Sam Howell and company will take this at home by 14 at least. After that, it's going to be Dallas and the Panthers. Cowboys and the Panthers. Cowboys will probably take this by at least 14 as well. Next after that, it's going to be the Titans and the Jags, and this is going to be an interesting one, because Jags are coming off of a terrible loss. Now, granted, it is the 49ers, but I did expect more out of Trevor Lawrence. What's going on with the Jags right now? I don't know. We'll have to see if they have a bounce back game against the Titans, or we'll see if, Will Levis and that company, Titans company, take care of business in the Jacksonville backyard. But I am going to go ahead and give the Jacksonville Jaguars the benefit of the doubt and take them at 7 at home. Don't make me regret it. All right, next after that's going to be the Cardinals and the Texans. Texans, C.J. Stroud and company have been absolutely tearing up. I don't see them stopping for the Cardinals at all, so I'll give them this by 14 at home. After that's going to be the Buccaneers and the 49ers. Buccaneers, 49ers, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, 49ers are definitely going to take this. I do think it'll be a good game, though. You can't really count Baker Mayfield out too much. They do have a strong defense over there for the Buccaneers. So I'm going to go ahead and take San Francisco. I'll play the safe route, and I'll just say it's by a touchdown, 7 points. And then after that, 425, Jets and the Bills. Jets and the Bills. Trap game, right? Trap game. You just don't know what's going to happen. The Bills have been in the slump. We get into the Ken Dorsey conversation. He's gone. Joe Brady's in now. He's going to be basically making decisions as far as for the play calling. This is going to be interesting. We have to see how this works. Still have the defensive issues and the defensive problems. Ken Dorsey's gone, and yes, I know that he's gone, and we should potentially see a change. But if we do not see a change, right, I'm not being super optimistic about this because I don't think it's enough, to be honest. But when we get into that conversation, guess what I'm saying here? If we do not see a change, we have to start pointing the finger at the head of it all. Yes, I said it. You have to start pointing the finger at Sean McDermott. And as much as it may seem that I'm being mean or I'm being callous or I don't care, listen, I understand that Sean McDermott's a nice guy. I respect the guy, right? He's putting the time, he's putting the work to make the team great. But when you run into this kind of wall that they are right now, you have to restructure the whole team to make something actually change. We'll see what happens for these Jets and the Bills. Obviously, you guys know I'm Bills Mafia, so I got to take my Bills. But it's going to be an interesting game. We'll see what happens. I'm going to take Bills by 7 at home. After that's going to be Seattle and the Rams, the Seahawks and the Rams. I'm going to take the Seahawks by 7 there. I think that'll be a good game as well. Next after that's going to be the Vikings and the Broncos, and this is going to be a great one because the Vikings are on a 4-game win streak right now. 4-game win streak right now. You've got the Broncos on a 3-game win streak, very strong as well. Russell Wilson's looking back and better than ever. And, yeah, they're at home, so I definitely think it's going to be a great one. And it's crazy because I really feel like I have to take the Broncos in this one. As much as I love Joshua Dobbs and what's going on with the Vikings and that magic they got going on over there right now, the Broncos are taking care of business. And Sean Payton is balling out of his mind right now as far as how he's coaching that team. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Broncos by 7 at home. Next after that, the rematch, ladies, the Super Bowl rematch, the Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And you guys know I've had it in with these Eagles fans. And it's really a shame because I have to sit here on a Monday night and call this game between the Eagles and the Chiefs. And this is going to be a hell of a time, without a doubt, on Monday night. I am looking forward to it. It is going to be crazy. It will be absolutely pandemonium, and I'm looking forward to it. With that said, obviously my big thing with the Eagles is this. I am not going to say anything bad about the offense. You guys know I've been giving Jalen Hurts his respect. Even though you Eagles fans have been giving me such a hard time, I am not going to say anything wrong about the offense. They've been doing great. A.J. Brown has been playing wonderful. I really like everything they got going on there. As far as the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things. He's even wearing his underwear for every game that he's played in the NFL. The same kind, and then he even doesn't wash them when they go on the street, which is disgusting. But hey, if it works for you, Patrick, it works. With that said, both teams are having defensive issues. Both teams are allowing way too many points to happen in the second half. So, what are we doing here? I'm going to go in and take KC at home. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for these Eagles to win at Arrowhead Stadium. Patrick Mahomes finds that magic. Him and Kelsey's going to link up and do great like they normally do in big games. And we're going to see this defense step up and really put Jalen Hurts to the test. If you Eagles fans want me to be a true believer, blow out Kansas City at home. Don't just skate by like you've been doing in all these other games. Blow out Kansas City, and you will make me a believer. Until then, I got the Chiefs by 7 at home. There it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, your predictions for Week 11. Week 11. All right, so now this is the section where I get into potential upsets. For right now, I mean, I really don't see too many upsets. I mean, obviously, you've got the Bengals and the Ravens. That's evenly matched. You've got the Steelers and the Browns. That's evenly matched. Bears, Lions, I mean, if that happens, that'd be absolutely ridiculous. I just can't even see that being an upset. That potentially could happen. But that's one, right? Bears, Lions. Chargers, Green Bay, evenly matched. Raiders, Dolphins, yeah, that would definitely be an upset if that happened. Giants, Washington, and like I said, it's not going to be an upset game. Panthers, Dallas, yeah, that would definitely be an upset game. But once again, I just don't see it happening. Everything else, I mean, for the most part, is pretty much even this week. So nothing too much crazy. But yeah, if you have a crazy parlay going and you've got an 8-leg and you're trying to basically figure out, what's going to happen as far as upsets, your 3 games are really going to be Panthers, Cowboys, Lions, Bears, and Raiders, Miami. Raiders, Dolphins. That's going to be your 3 games that may shift things and may have some kind of weird outcome if you've got big money on a parlay. So there you go. Frankie Football says, you happy about Dorsey? Yes. Without a doubt. Let me rephrase that. I'm not happy the man, lost his job. But I am happy that he's gone and we'll have a shakeup as far as, the plays being called and things like that. Arizona over Houston sounds appealing. Not with that hype, man. Not with that hype right now. And what CJ Stroud is doing, I just don't see it happening. Robert says, Jay, things are getting very interesting for Week 11. I don't see the Eagles winning an Arrowhead. There it is. Sparktabulous, what up? What's going on with you? Robert says, Jets versus Bills. Jay going to Bills, but don't count your chickens yet. Bills Mafia. Without a doubt, don't count the chickens. I'm telling you, it's looking weird. I tried to tell you guys last week, even with, the Broncos, we had the conversation. Me and Alec, we did the pregame show, and I basically said it. I said, listen, this is one time where, we go into the stadium and we play against the Broncos, and I don't feel comfortable. I wasn't comfortable, and I said that we may potentially lose. And, yeah, it happened. So, when you start really looking at things from, a higher level and you start understanding these analytics and statistics the right way, and you turn away from being just a fan, you start realizing things that you really don't want to realize as a fan. But when you take that hat off and you understand what's really going on in the field and how a team needs to change and how they need to go out there and execute when they haven't been doing it, then you understand that these kind of things can happen and you don't have the kind of emotional blow that, someone may have that's just overly involved and thinks that their team's just going to win no matter what. So there it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Frankie says, what's your honest opinion about the Bills' remaining schedule? Do you think we make the playoffs? So it's a mixed bag right now. It's really a mixed bag. I'm not going to have really any real playoff input until obviously after this Jets game. And then even after that, it gets a little bit more crazy because the Bills' schedule coming up it's not good. Obviously, if you get into the Bills' schedule, we got the Jets, then we got Philly, then we get the bye, then we get Kansas City and Dallas. You need to win these 4 games before we're even having a real conversation about the playoffs again. You have to win these 4 games. I don't want to hear, oh, it's okay to, beat the Jets and then lose to the Eagles and then, beat KC and then lose to Dallas and then win out. No. You need to win against the Jets, win against Philly, beat Kansas City, beat Dallas, and maybe have an even game against the Chargers and, potentially lose between New England and Miami. You basically have to win out if you're the Bills right now. That's the reality of it. People are trying to, find this, little, gray area as far as, well, if they do this and do that. No, forget all that. You have to win because it doesn't even make sense if we get to the playoffs just losing the first round if we can't beat the teams that we need to beat later on in the playoffs anyways convincingly. But there you go. There's going to be all kinds of models and all kinds of this and all kinds of that as far as percentages in regards to how the Bills can do it. You want the reality? Bills need to win everything to get into the playoffs. Every game. Before they actually become a team that we can believe in again, that's actually going to be the Super Bowl contenders that they should be. There you go. There's your reality for the day. TN says, Jay, the Bills need a new identity. The Josh Allen needs to be reined in. Yeah, and we'll see if Joe Brady can do that, right? We'll see if Ken was really the issue. Because like I said, if Ken Dorsey wasn't the issue and we still go out there and we bomb and we don't see any real change, Sean McDermott's next. Make sure you guys save this because, I normally predict stuff and it happens. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys lock it in. I'll see you tomorrow for Thursday Night Football. Bengals, Ravens. We'll do a pregame show at 7. Me and Alec. We'll get it going for you guys. And, obviously, if you catch this later, drop your predictions down low in the chat. Next week, everybody. Obviously, we've got Thanksgiving coming up. So I've been saying this at the end of my videos. Make sure that you guys are enjoying it responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Enjoy your holiday and have safe travels. And my stream schedule for next week is going to be obviously Monday night. I'll drop some videos here and there throughout Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll do a Thanksgiving stream just to say what we're thankful for. So I hope all you guys drop in for that. And then obviously Black Friday game, I will be streaming. And then we'll get back to our regular schedule heading into the new year. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. Have yourself a great night. Shout out to the Rinse Gang. Shout out to the family. All the listeners. All the watchers. Robert says, win? Win what, bro? Let me know what was your question about. Win what? Jay, it would be unbelievable and good for the Bills if the Bills can score 35 points in the Jets. I don't see it. I mean, I could be completely wrong in my statement as far as what I said, right? It could be where we win against the Jets and the Eagles, lose to KC, lose to Dallas, and then win the next 3. Does that mean we get in? We won't know for the next couple weeks because things are still in motion. You still have craziness going on right now across the whole AFC, not even just us. It's starting to look really interesting, especially the AFC North. Because if you look at what's going on there, they've got more problems than the AFC East. Without a doubt. So we'll see what's going on. We'll figure it all out. You guys know. And with that said, Robert, I'm waiting for you, man. I got to go eat. I got to go eat, my friend. Waiting for this question you had. When do we see Trevor Siemian? I'm not sure. You made me wait for that question? Oh, man. I think if you lose to the Bills, you'll see him. Salah's going to have to do something. He's going to have to answer. He's going to have to answer for Zach Wilson eventually here, right? They're only going to take so much punishment. I do think if they lose to the Bills, then you'll probably see him. Frankie says, I want Josh to run more now. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd like to see him run a little bit more, for sure. So, all right, you guys, have a good night, and see you all tomorrow for Thursday Night Football. Peace out.